Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another break diving live stream. My name is Monroe Mann. I'm the founder of Break Diving, joined today again by Miss Emily Apel. Apel. Apel.
No, it is.
Apel. Emily, what I wanted to say is I applied to the Tony Robbins Foundation. Yeah, and I honestly I think that so it's weird. So for that you have to apply a letter of intent.
Among Yeah, totally. Especially among grants that are from like a foundation or a more private institution, they usually require the letter of intent first before even getting to the application process.
Of time to get the letter of intent right. But you're saying so? What is the app? How could the application be even more in depth than that? Than that letter of intent. What are they going to ask if we get selected for the next phase?
In terms of the information that they specifically request, it's kind of subject to each foundation. But for the most part, they ask like basic contact information, operations information, um, plan in terms of like future that you're working towards, and then evidence of what you've already built. So yeah, I think that that being like the majority of the application.
Do you want? I said 25,000 to 250,000. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but I figure I don't want to say less than what they're potentially willing to provide, if that makes sense.
Shoot high and see what you can get. I would be realistic, so more so in the application itself, and because they're just gonna ask for cold hard numbers. So I think at that point they'll also be able to see capacity where we're at and what they could provide.
If there's anything when I was a speaker up in New York City years ago on for in the acting scene. I had become known as the Tony Robbins of the acting world, and so I feel like this is full circle. How perfect this would be if that comes through. Hi guys, we got two of you guys watching. Welcome. Uh, Emily and I are just talking about the company, and specifically, we were just talking about fundraising. May not be the most exciting topic for some of you, but for us, it's something that's very important because we need to get some money. How you doing, my besties? MSS. What does MSS stand for? We got 19 people now. See, sometimes every once in a while we just get a big deluge. What's up? Yeah, this is Emily over here.
We're talking about grant opportunities today and how we go about applying to them and searching for resources that might be helpful. Definitely hot in Florida.
Yeah, well, in that sense, we are both extremely hot. I am hotter than you because I'm down in South Beach. Uh, by the way, guys, please download our mobile app. You can go to the Play Store or the App Store and download Break Diving. Don't wait for opportunities to float to the surface. Break divers dive in and make our own big breaks in life. And so that's sort of what we're talking about today, because one of the things that we're trying to do, by the way, we got 14 people and 0 likes. Come on, double tap the screen. I'm sure we can get 3. Can 3 of you please be generous and doesn't cost you a thing? It doesn't cost you a thing. You know what it is? I don't even think the likes do anything. Like on TikTok, the likes actually help to bring more people into the live stream.
Messes with the algorithm in that way.
Yeah, I like that. The TikTok, I was on it the other day. Go ahead. Yeah, we got 2. Huzzah, huzzah. On the TikTok algorithm, I was doing a live stream on my own channel and my TikTok, my own channel. And I got 6,000 subscribers on YouTube, 100 on TikTok. I had 40 to 60 people consistently watching me on TikTok playing music, and I had 3 to 10 people on YouTube, and that blew my mind. That and do you do TikTok at all, or?
No, I'm not really into content creation. I actually deleted TikTok recently because it was causing mental health strain, I feel like, how good for them was.
Can agree with that. The thing I don't like about TikTok, as soon as you open it, it starts playing a video trying to grab you and pull you in. So I've learned as soon as I go on, press my profile button in the bottom right, and it stops the pulling you in. Uh,
Into YouTube Shorts in terms of like scrolling because the algorithm is just not as good. So I feel like I ends up being more so my choice whether I want to watch something or not.
I don't understand what one thing that I'm concerned about. I'm putting some effort into building up the TikTok. I made no money on my YouTube live stream. I made $2 on the TikTok one with 100 followers on TikTok, and on YouTube it took like why are we doing this live stream now? Because we're trying to get to the 3,000 hours of watch time so we can monetize this channel. On TikTok, I made $2 and I've got 100 followers, whereas on YouTube you need
I said that pays someone on Upwork that day.
TikTok. I don't know if you know the controversy about it being a Chinese owned company and what's going on with it potentially being banned. And there was all this talk about that they found a buyer for it. But I did more research on it, and I don't know if this is true, but they're still going to TikTok is going to exist in every other country except India. It's banned as well, but TikTok is going to be still available around the world, but not in the United States app stores. And they're going to create a new app called M2. It
Um,
hasn't come out yet, and apparently it's supposed to be like in September when the transition happens. But apparently the algorithm is not part of the deal. So they're basically creating a brand new social media app called M2, and it has nothing to do with. And what makes TikTok so fascinating to me is its algorithm.
transferred over.
Apparently not. And not only that, but if I have foreign, uh, apparently this M2 app will only. That's a big question. Is it going to be available in other countries, or is it only available in the United States? And TikTok is available in all other countries. So it's kind of like we're creating this social media app that's only for America, which is sort of like North Korea, or it's like how is this? Anyway, it's really upsetting me because I thought that it was divesting from China and United States was going to control all of TikTok, but no, they're just getting a third rate version with no algorithm. And
I saw on on like Congress News one day, there was a whistleblower from Meta, the company that owns Facebook and Instagram, and she was talking about how they had a specific plan. I wish I remembered it now. It sounded like from a sci-fi movie, but of channeling all of our American data to Chinese companies already. Like that pipeline already existed and that they were doing it, and that Mark Zuckerberg was fully behind it, and so was Facebook. Yeah, and she was on the news, but I don't remember it getting much coverage after that. So I thought it was really funny that we're doing this whole thing for something that is already happening. And it's been said in Congress, so it really is quite silly.
you know what else I find silly, and it's because and for those of you those of you watching, you don't know, Emily and I are part of this not-for-profit social media community called Break Diving, which is the same name as this channel. And the whole purpose is that like right now we don't have any advertising, we don't sell data to anybody, we don't do personalized ads. But most importantly, we're trying to create a social media experience that uses positive psychology to help people to feel better about themselves, to achieve their dreams, to make friends. I don't think, in my opinion, that the biggest problem is China per se. It's these algorithms, right? It's the algorithm. I feel like TikTok, I understand the threat and why America's concerned about China. They're a quasi enemy, but why is there nothing being done about Facebook, Instagram, and Link? All these others where fine, you're hurting people in mental health in other ways. Mm.
In our industrial like development and just our infrastructure in general in terms of where we decide to put limits on things and where we don't decide to put limits on things. I remember learning about like Woodrow Wilson, I think it was, who disbanded the insane oil companies that became monopolies and had completely taken over the US economy. Um, and I remember thinking that that was really inspiring and how we really saw a break from this idea of what a millionaire or a billionaire should look like in this country. Um, and I do think that we're reaching a moment of needing to do that again, but with tech companies now that have reached beyond what we ever imagined. Um, and we're seeing the exact opposite of that. So it is quite scary. No, I just mean no. You
Comments that come up so that you know it. You can say hi to Erlanga. The
nation we're doing the exact opposite, but we should. But also at breakdiving, it is our mission to do the opposite of what is bad.
bad. I actually wrote that on the grant application. That's all I did. What is your mission? The opposite of what is bad. And guess what? They gave us actually a $2.4 million. With these foundations, like you said that you worked with some foundation or not for profits before, and you ended up helping them get like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
This reward was a local county government. So they were a small capacity, maybe like two or three people in the office. And their grant was for bridge infrastructure. So it was a competitive grant, and there was quite a bit of paperwork to get through. So I'm quite happy about that. But in terms of nonprofit work that I've done, I worked with two other nonprofits before that local community, and I help them primarily with organization and sending out letters of interest and timelines in terms of when they should be applying to things and what documents they need to be collecting. I wasn't sure because I was part of a program that consistently moving me. So I was transferred quickly to the local government after that. Yeah. Great hope, and I think that we should keep looking for sure. And like I said, they make it difficult to like get resources in terms like we clearly saw this morning from the subscriptions to different databases that just like aren't available. I do think if you go looking in the right places, you can find what you're looking for.
Yeah, so this is very interesting. I would like to get to the point, and I'm hoping that starting in September, October, when we release the new features that have the to-do lists and this and that, that we can start to accelerate people paying to, and where we're making money through the services that we're offering. But how much better if we could get a jolt of energy from some foundation. They have money and they want to give it away to people doing good work. Some of the requirements that were on this grant were you have to be a not for profit. You need to have been in operation already for a year. and you need to have already have a track record of helping people. So I was like, okay, cool, perfect.
Definitely, in terms of writing, there are ways, not necessarily to embellish, but to formally write out the things that you've done. Um, because sometimes, like, the idea we have isn't enough, and documentation of the process is also super important in terms of them understanding how more capacity could have helped you do more.
We need more people. We need an infusion. I wonder. I'm trying to figure out what the number of people that we need in the community for it to actually start to scale automatically. You know the term network effects.
The app alone.
Like you can't use it by yourself. I, but when now like we've got like 40 active members, okay, it becomes a little bit more useful. But you imagine if there are 5,000 people and we've got 20 posts per day and people are responding left and right, this and that, all of a sudden this becomes a very, that's what it means by network effects. The larger the network, the bigger the positive effect. I'm trying to figure out at what point, how many members do we need when it starts to, where you don't need to push it anymore, where it starts to take on a life of its own in terms of recruiting more people and getting people to talk. I don't know if it's 200, I don't know if it's 2,000, I don't know if it's 20,000, but that's a
Apps versus people who actually stay. Um,
list of all applications that were accepted, but no user account was created. And I found out there are a good like 50% of the people who were accepted who didn't create an account. So I'm going to be reaching out to them and sending them their acceptance email again in hopes of getting them to to create an account, because I'm realizing, wow, these people took the time to apply, they were accepted, but maybe they never got the email that
things that we can install on the web page themselves to track users' behavior in terms of at what point when they were clicking did they X out of the site, or like at what point when they were going here did they decide to stop working on it.
it was Google Analytics, and I believe we have that tracking tag in there, so maybe we could just look up at Google Analytics and check. Um, but I don't know if Google Analytics tracks the mobile app activity on the mobile app, and so it might be. What I want to find out is whether the more five-star reviews we get in the Google Play Store. You know what? Let me. Oh no, I don't have ChatGPT. Do you have ChatGPT open on another phone right now, or you don't either? No. I'm wondering if the more five-star reviews break diving gets in the Google Play Store, is that going to increase the discoverability of break diving when people search for personal growth community on Google? What do you think? Any ideas?
But that's definitely something that we can look up and see if it does happen, or if there's another way to do it. I'm guessing that the only other way to do it would be through money and paying for that visibility. Um,
Uh,
I think applying to other grants as well, I think really helps put into perspective where we could get like small pools of money from various places.
and Apple App Store ads. They gave us $100 credit before, and I tried it, but I didn't. That was when we had our old splash pages. Do you remember the pages that you Ishmael and I recreated? I want to try those the App Store ads again and see if more people will download the app with the new and not only download the app but then submit an application. So we'll see about that. Hi everybody who's here, coming and going from 1 to 3 to 4 to 1. Uh, we're just talking about breakdiving, talking about entrepreneurship, and talking about marketing and how what we're doing with breakdiving. If you have any questions about your dreams or about entrepreneurship or starting a business or investing, anything like that, feel free to. Actually, let's talk about investing for a moment. What is your experience with investing in terms of financial management? Have you invested anywhere?
It's like a stable enough position for me to want to go out and allocate money elsewhere. But it's definitely, yeah, I do have $1 a week.
Dollar and put it in, like, download Robinhood or Stash, and $1 a week put it into the S&P 500 index fund. And have you heard about S&P 500 index funds? Does he do any investing? So why don't you participate with him? I had started when I was in college. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine where I would be today. It took me forever. Actually, it didn't take me forever. My mind was there, but back when I was in college, there was no such thing as fractional investing, which is where you could buy $1 worth of Apple every week. It was either you bought a full share, and Apple is what, two, three, $400 a share now, or you didn't buy any. And also brokerage accounts back in the day, E-Trade. I don't know if you've heard of that. E-Trade used to. It was the first online brokerage. They only you had to start with something like $10,000 or something like that back in the day, and so you couldn't just, or even 1,000, but you couldn't just dabble and kind of get started. You had to make a serious commitment. I love how today you could just download a Robinhood or Stash, and $1 per week in the S&P 500. At the end of the month, you've spent $4, and you're not
Yeah.
taking a huge financial risk. Funny how I'm just talking about investing, and now we've got 7 people. People like that topic. Any of you guys watching, if you haven't, download the Break Diving mobile app. What does that mean? Don't wait for opportunities to float to the surface. Dive in and make those big breaks yourself. It's spelled BREAKDIVING. It's in the Play Store. It's in the App Store. It's also at breakdiving.io. And if you want to talk about investing or dreams or whatever, come join our community. We talk about all these things in the community as well. Um, what about Bitcoin? Do you have any Bitcoin? That's another thing that I think that you should start investing in. It last year, like this time, like last year, it was around 60,000 per Bitcoin. Now it's at 120,000. I it it is going up and up and up and up. And I'd say anybody watching, if you haven't bought some Bitcoin, I think you're an idiot. You should be buying some, even if it's just the tiniest bit that you buy every month. You'll be grateful that you bought some now while it was only worth 120,000, because I do believe it's going to be going up. I think it will hit above $1 million for, of per coin. So if you can buy that now before it does, that's that's a big win. So you pick the new topic. Think of, I mean, because break diving is very wide and far. Like, what's a hobby that you have, or something going on in the world, or whatnot? What are you thinking?
That you were talking about and wanting to expand that and maybe structure that. Um, well, that's kind of just what's been on my mind lately.
Talking about volunteers, I read a book once. It's the 2021 Immutable Laws of Leadership. And one of the chapters was saying If you want to really put your leadership skills to the test, try to
Mhm.
recruit and keep a volunteer team,
Yeah.
because it's not easy, but easy to say, hey, I'm going to pay you money to do something.
Yeah.
And even if they don't like you, even if they don't love the job in particular, you know, a lot of people say, I need money. Okay, what do you need me to do? With volunteers, if they don't like you, they leave. If you don't treat them well, they leave. Whereas a lot of people stay at jobs they hate simply because they need the money to pay rent and to pay food and to buy food. But with I have learned this firsthand. Like, even as I just told you, hiring people on Upwork, incredibly easy. I don't want to say incredibly easy. It's still difficult to manage people you're paying, but it seems like it's a lot easier because they're being paid for something. So it's expected they're going to get it done when you tell them to get it done, and blah, blah, blah. With a volunteer team, it is extremely tough because those people have other lives. And I think that is my biggest challenge. I'd say not my biggest challenge, the challenge for anybody who is recruiting and managing a volunteer team. How do you recruit them in the first place? How do you keep them in? I don't think I have a problem recruiting people. The question, I mean, with breakdiving, we had over 30 volunteers over the last 6 years. I know a large part of it is that's just life, people come and go. But I also keep thinking, like, what could I have done differently to have kept some of them? Is if I had done something differently, would some of those volunteers still be on the team today? Or is it, I don't know, like, have you ever experienced or worked with or been at a company or not private where they have had the same volunteers for multiple, like, the longest volunteer was for about 3 years, 2.5 years at breakdiving. Have you had anyone stay for longer than 2.5 years? Or have you been at any volunteer position for longer than that?
But I think the way that that worked, and she stayed for 2 years, and actually continued the program after I graduated. So I'm very happy to say that it's still going. Um, but I think that one of the bigger things that kept her going, and then also incentivized other, like she recruited another friend then to continue the project. So I think one thing that really kept the longevity there of it was the fact that I knew that she had a personal connection to the cause itself, and then also it was of convenience to her. So I was providing, even though she was providing much more of a service, she needed community service hours, and so I was able to give that to her. And I acknowledged that that was a
Maybe I could, like I said, we could transfer them over to Upwork and paying them a small stipend, because not we don't have the money to actually pay huge amount. But I mean, I found that a strange. I still find this funny. There's a bunch. There are two coders in particular who are very good at what they do. They started out as, I paid them on Upwork, but then they like what's going on so much that they just keep coding stuff. I can't even pay them. That I can't even pay them for because they already did the. They're like, no, I already did this. I fixed this. Just what's next to do? Like they're just having such a great time being a part of this. One of them just said, "Oh, I just cloned the mobile repo and I added this. I made a new pull request and just this. Oh, and I found a fix for the chat room and I'm going to do back and I'm going to do this and I just so I it's such a strange psychological thing with volunteers because these two started off as being paid and then they kind of I don't want to say went backwards. I kind of feel like they went forwards to say I want to take ownership. I love what's going on here. I want to help on a more regular basis.
Of course, within reason. But giving them that freedom sometimes is um, more motivating than even the financial incentive because they feel like it's their own work now, and I do think that is really impactful.
Possible to have like 100 volunteers at this company. And I don't know if that's possible. I was talking to you before. It's like you can't have 100 volunteers unless you have. They say that the 10 like, and this is also in the military too. A general squad has about 10 to 15 people in the squad, and each squad is broken down into two teams: Alpha team and Bravo team. Knowing that like one individual person cannot manage a an unlimited number of people.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure that out now because I already have. We've got 10 or 11 coders now on the team. I mean, 11, which is great, but it's. I'm thinking like we need more people now for Flutter. We need more people on the. Okay, and I can't manage everything. And if we have a marketing team, and we've got 3, 4, 5 people. Someone else has got to be in charge of that marketing team. I mean, how cool! Like I'm just thinking, if eventually there were like 10 volunteer team leaders and each volunteer team had 10 people in it, it would be, I don't know if, do you think it's possible?
Able to really oversee and um, look more so at the bottlenecks you were saying, like the connections in between and what's not working there. And I do think that that's also a better use of your time.
And they just update me, and then during the week they go ahead and manage their individual. My thinking though is what is there? I know I could go onto Upwork and find somebody and say, hey, I want you to be the volunteer coordinator. And I could hire somebody to do that, but that costs money. And I'm wondering, is it possible to find somebody to be a team leader who is not paid, like a volunteer, like a team leader? I mean, people volunteer to do things all the time. People are on it. They are volunteer as a coach for a soccer team. But I don't know what it is that would get somebody and say, yeah, I want to be the team leader for the volunteers and say, hey, you got ownership of it. You manage volunteer match. You manage idealist. You manage this. You recruit them. You train them, and I don't know. Like I haven't found anybody yet who wants to take such ownership. Most people, and I say this with respect, are like you, who prefer a more technical role of getting something done and working underneath someone else's management. Hard to find volunteer managers, in my opinion. I don't know if
7 role. and that does require almost full time's day of work in terms of setting goals, deciding what action plans are happening, delegating that, maintaining weekly meet like it really is a full-time job. So I do understand why some people would feel overwhelmed. Not everyone wants to volunteer for an overwhelming position, I think. And like what I said motivates the volunteers is definitely ownership of their own work, and the idea that they're able to do something actionable. Like even volunteering to teach someone soccer, they're seeing that person learn soccer from their own fruits of their own labor, I think, is the and a manager ultimately sees the whole thing. So it is difficult to put ownership on that. Which is why I think that the grants is a great opportunity for that, because you can emphasize your need for structure and for being able to increase capacity in that sense.
In Colombia, and I was saying, I said, is $4 an hour a reasonable, is that something that you would be happy with for a while? And he said, "Do you want me to tell you what I get paid as an engineer now in Colombia?" I said, "What? $2 an hour." So, I mean, that's how crazy the difference is in the economy. That $4 an hour is going to be a huge raise for him. He doubles his salary. But like $4, like it wouldn't be a full time thing. Let's just say like 3 hours per day. So 12 times 7. So $84 a week to hire somebody to be like a part time manager times 4. So $336 a month times 12, $4,032 per year. So I mean, if we got a grant for $50,000, like wow, we could hire 3 people to actually to do that. Or even knowing that probably $3 an hour would still be an improvement for some folks. Three times, let's just say if it's 2 hours a day times 7 days a week times four, $168 a month times 12. So even $2,000. So
They'll Because at the end of the day they're going to ask for evidence. So if we have a total of 12,000 that is like needed for this specific role, I feel like the higher range of that would probably be 15, um in terms of like additional costs or just expenditure. um but definitely I think that it is possible to highlight that as a need for the company, and be able to get funding for that.
a lot easier if there were somebody paid to manage the volunteers and somebody paid to do code review and manage the mobile coders and so hello to the 2 people watching. Feel free to say hello. I don't know why all of you guys come in here and you say nothing. The algorithm used to be so much. But this is again going back to the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, which I absolutely hate. I don't know why they changed it. It used to be very similar to TikTok. Not the like things. The likes have always done nothing. But it used to be. Remember how there were like 16 people watching us? It used to be like that throughout the entire live stream, where they would always keep showing another 16 people. What's up, Rusty? Rusty is one of our members in Australia from New Zealand. What's up, Rusty? How are you? And I don't know why YouTube doesn't want to send, like, who, if they're not sending them to our live stream, who the heck are they sending all of them to? And I see some of my fans on my other channel, like Monroe. I see some people sorting colored balls, and they have 250 people watching them, and it's like, what is wrong with the algorithm that it's encouraging this? I honestly think that is the more dumb the live stream content is, the more likely you're going to attract a regular stream of viewers. But we have three viewers right now, which is great. Rusty says working in another class at the same time. I hope you're not the teacher. Rusty and I taught English in China together. Yeah, and he's from New Zealand, I believe, and he lives in Australia in Brisbane. Have you been there? That's the only country you've been in? I think we talked about this before. Okay, interesting.
Close that sometimes. It was a cruise, so I think it was like a pit stop. No, just one straight shot from Florida to Dominican Republic. Yeah, we got off for like a day and were able to explore, but then got back on. Back to Florida. Yeah, it was a 7-day cruise though, so it was the attraction was definitely the ride there. It was quite silly. No, I think we left from like Fort Lauderdale or some sort of port.
Emily and I are talking about is far more educational, I'm sure. So Rusty, well, I'm waiting for Rusty to share what he has to say. You know what I realized? This T-shirt looks very bad. I have to change this shirt. It's driving me crazy because I'm gonna leave you here. I'm gonna put myself in the freezer, which is what I usually do when I go, and you're gonna talk to everybody. So talk about your day or talk about why you joined break diving, whatever. I'll be back in a second.
Oh my goodness. All right. Okay, everyone. I guess I'll talk about my hobbies. And kind of like what are my current dives of interest. I recently added graphic design as a dive of interest, and as a subsection of the fine arts. I think I've always been interested in like mixed media and the foundations of design principles. So I've been doing um, classes in the arts since middle. Oh my goodness, you're back. No, I was just talking about my latest dive that I posted in graphic design and kind of how I started that. No, I posted the dive itself, and that's what I was. No, I haven't added anything to it since, but I was just talking about that. I believe it's a dive in pursuit. And I clicked certify, but I'm not sure if I did certify because it was like 5 required for level 1. I might just be wrong. And my
Um, and oh, artist fine arts. So it's not posted. You submitted it. Yeah. Yeah. So we have to review it first to determine if you meet the requirements. So good job. Rusty just recently certified his fifth level 1 dive, so he became our newest level 1 break diver.
then so like I'm also I noticed I think gym was one of them, like being physically healthy. Totally.
Certify 5 at level 1, and the level 1 requirements are much lower than the level elite. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elite. So for example, French level 1 is just you speak, read, write, and understand very basic French. French elite is you speak as well as a native speaker. You are perfect. Uh, because you have to, we have to put in a check so that it'll check first to see if you make that one is the requirements for level 1 is you've already certified 5 fine arts dives. Yeah, so unfortunately, but yes, you've been rejected. Um, um, what'd you say? Yes, you were outed publicly as a failed brake diver. Um, Rusty's writing. Hi Emily, what dives of interest? Fine arts, good stuff with graphic design. Am I in the wrong chat panel? No, Rusty, you're in the right live chat panel, but Emily for some reason can't see the chat messages. So what you should do is certify. Go back and certify. What we can do is if you want to certify 5, because you can certify painting at level 1, drawing at level 1. Do you do all of these? Do you do watercolor?
Illustration, creation, I think the specific name for that, but it's like graphic.
All this information and you can just copy everything over. The only one that available was what? Let me see dive levels. Let me just
And then you could make a requirement for level 1, a proficiency in some sort of software. Yeah, in terms of like being able to create something digitally.
I guess graphic design because we do have one for artist fashion, I think. Let me see if I do have that here. Artist variety, artist writer. Where is artist design? I could have sworn we had one for uh, fine art for fashion design. Artist, filmmaker, fine arts. Oh yeah, artist fashion. So let's create another one for artist graphic design. Emily, remind me to do that, and then what we can do is you can just copy all of those answers that you did here, that one, and then I'll delete this one. Rusty says, "How long are you guys chatting for?" We've been going for about 49 minutes. We'll probably go for another 10, and then we'll call it quits. Um, if you have any questions for me or Emily, let me know. And by the way, Rusty, if you ever want to be a guest, just let me know. I'm trying to get. We have 800. We have 2,200 hours of watch time. We need 800 more until we can monetize the channel. So I'm happy to just jump on with you and we can talk about Wall Street English, China. Boy, I missed. I just somehow I submit. We talked about this. Did you submit for your passport?
not to do it because it was gonna be the reason I was going was for dental work, and so the tickets ended up skyrocketing, and so the pricing ended up being the exact same, and it was such a nightmare because I was in the middle of the parking lot trying to figure out if I needed to go in. But I did get all my documentation in order at least, so I did. Yeah. Exactly. I think the problem was that the most recent passport I had been lost, so I had to fill out another form, and I printed out all of them, and I was taking it in person. That in that moment, I realized that nothing was gonna work out, and so it was quite funny and unfortunate for me in that moment. But if I did not renew the passport, I will be staying in America for a while.
Emmeline, get off your ass and stop being lazy. Rusty says, I have my passport. Apply for English 1, formerly English First in China, teaching children 3 to 16. I'm debating. I don't know if I would like teaching children or not. I don't know if that would be fun or if that would try my patience. I'm just like, okay, today we're gonna talk about the colors. Yay!
Once. Um, but I guess it helps that it's a physical activity. I can doing something that only requires mental strain. Good luck, Rusty. I'm so sorry. Hi, hi, Vivi. Nice to meet you.
I don't know what you mean. Why would I need an adult tutor on WeChat? For who? Is that for me? Oh, an adult tutor recruiter. That would be interesting. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind looking into that, Rusty. Yeah, sure. Send my way. Um, I'm maybe going to China in September, Rusty. Yeah. Uh, yeah, we could do a. I'd have to make sure I have a good VPN. Then I could do a YouTube live from inside China. And Vivi says, "Why can't I donate? Why? Because we haven't monetized the channel yet. We have 2,200 hours. We need 3,000 before we can unlock Super Chat. It's really annoying. I agree with you, Vivi. Especially the fact that we could have potentially gotten money right now. Vivi goes, "Why can't I donate?" And then she just wrote, "Sigh." We're gonna get the channel monetized. I think in the next 2 months. That we're getting. Actually, let me check and see what our actual count is and how much we have to go. I hope we've gone above 2,200. Please, have we gone up 2,200? Yes, we're at 2,207. So we need 793 watch hours to go. Uh, Vivi says I would have sent $20. Yeah, honestly, Vivi, if you really want to help us, you can still donate the $20 because this money goes directly into our would go into our corporate bank account for breakdiving or not for profit. So if you want, go to breakdiving.org or breakdiving.io and click the donate button. Or you can go to paypal.me/breakdiving. Paypal.me/breakdiving/20. And you can give $20 to our cause and mission. Rusty says English One also has an adult program. Previously, you could teach for something on a 3-month visa. Rusty says maybe we could do the level 1 chat as a live stream with me as a guest. Um, we could potentially do that, Rusty. But Betty in Indonesia has said she's going to join that event too, and so I'm not sure if we can, because I can only have. That's another thing why TikTok is it does things better. On TikTok, I can have multi guest, so I can have like 3 or 4 people on, and we can all be having a group chat. On YouTube, the only way you can do multi guest is by using third party software, which is really difficult to integrate and use. Vivi says, I can't actually. I don't have PayPal, and my card is restricted to certain sites, but I'll get on it when we are monetized. Promise. All right, Vivi, we've got Emily here as a witness. Rusty too. So we're expecting. By the way, if we get monetized in 3 months, that means you have to give us like $50 because it's so many days, so many months that you haven't been able to give us a super chat. Also, Rusty, the other reason why I don't want to do the level one on YouTube Live is the whole purpose of it is to be exclusive to people who are level one break divers. And if it's open to everybody on YouTube Live, then what's the point of you becoming level one break diver? The whole idea is to create these exclusive events and allow you to. Oh, let me ask you this, Emily and Rusty, what you guys think. Right now, you can private message anybody. I'm thinking of changing it so that you can only private message people at your level and one level above. So that way, once we have level 3 break divers and level 2 break divers, the people who join immediately can't start sending messages to the people who are farther or really far along.
Part of it, if that makes sense. It starts separating your users into like really niche groups, which I think is already an option by just having exclusive events where like you said where you're creating that exclusivity elsewhere.
Level elite member and a level elite actor. We can't allow people just to join and then start sending private messages to Tom Cruise.
If someone is receiving an abundance of private messages that they shouldn't be, and at that point you could maybe certify them specifically and have an exclusive um title for them. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking maybe like the verified like check mark, so that is
We allow everybody to message everybody, it's going to be a crazy free for all. Let me just read some. Emily is frozen, says Vivi. I'm not made of money. You're not made of money yet, but you will be. You got $20 on that card, and we want it. Uh, Rusty says, "Did you hear about the English teacher that went to jail? He got a full sentence." That was funny. J- Rusty likes to share dad jokes a lot. Rusty says, "I like what Miss Apel said. I like the idea of it being open." Okay. But wait, I think it should be the same as now because I feel like if one wants advice or anything, then you can't get it as well. But the whole idea is if you're starting to learn French, you do not need to speak to somebody who is a fluent speaker to learn how to go from level recruit to level one. You can get advice from a level one. I feel, oh, maybe another idea is maybe you have to work your way up in terms of asking people. It's something like that. I don't know. I understand that you guys like the idea of it being open, but I don't think it'll work. And I think people will not want to. Someone who's a level elite real estate investor, if this breakdiving thing really takes off, is going to own millions of dollars worth of property. And that person doesn't want to get messages from Joe Blow who just joins and goes, "Hi, I'm in high school and I want to become a real estate investor." Like you don't have to ask uh, Donald Trump or what the heck that guy's name is? Who's the I know any one of those big real estate investors how to do it. You can just ask somebody who bought a condo, and you ask 7 or 8 people at level one who own a condo. Anyway, something for us to think about, because that I would love for us to be in such a situation where we're having this actual issue. Vivi says, but I see what you're talking about. I get that. So anyway, um, gentlemen and ladies, been on for about an hour now. I'm going to be doing another breakdiving study hall tonight. If you guys can please turn it on and let it run while you're sleeping. That's when we get the most watch time, when 2 or 3 people watch it overnight, and we'll get like 20 hours of watch time. It stinks when I wake up and we've got like 2 hours of watch time, because very few people are sticking around. You guys can help out a lot by doing that. You can also help by just even if we're not live, just watch some of our break diving live streams from before. This you could do this too, Emily. This would be very helpful. Before you go to bed, just turn on one of the study halls, the 12-hour study halls, and just let the thing play while you're sleeping. And boom, well, if you sleep for 8 hours, we just got 8 hours of watch time from you. It just needs to be, because it's not. It's You get watch time from when you're doing the live stream live, or when somebody watches it as a recording, as one of our long videos. That would be perfect. If anytime you're doing pragmatic, you're just watching one of those breakdiving videos, that'll help us get more watch time. Last comments here. Rusty says, I will turn it on. Thank you very much. Vivi says, I'll watch for an hour or two, but my phone will burn up if I leave it on too long. I need a new phone. Well, then, if if you need a new phone, maybe you should use the money to go get the new phone, or you can save it up and give us that $20 in 2 months when our channel finally gets monetized. But I'm glad you said that, Vivi, because it encouraged me to keep pushing forward with the monetization, because I know that maybe somebody will, like you, give $20, and all of a sudden, great, we've got. But I mean, by the way, just $20 that pays for 1/4 of our server costs for the month, or it hires somebody on Upwork, a coder, for about 2 or 3 features or bug fixes. So that $20 would help us tremendously. Final words from Emily Apel. Sounds good. Yeah, Emily and I are kind of doing this once a week, to not only get more subscribers, but to also get more watch time, and also just to be a little bit more present with this breakdiving channel, doing more than just the study hall live streams. Have a good one, Vivi. Have a good one, Rusty, and have a good one, the third mystery person. We love you as well. And Emily, thank you very much for being a special guest, and looking forward to seeing you again next week. Bye, guys.